MTL Sports here. We're on episode 128. I think we're on week 10, right, Lawrence? Week 10, almost concluded.
Yeah.
We got one more game tonight. Dolphins, Rams. Two teams trying to hang in there in the playoff hunt. Dolphins hanging on by a teeny thread. Rams got a little bit more leeway, so we probably won't talk about that, but we'll talk about all the other games, including unfortunate Thursday night game and a very fortunate Sunday morning game. So with all that being said, guys, stay tuned. Our NFL Week 10 recap. I guess we have to start with Thursday night, and Lawrence wants me to
do anything.
He wants me to rant about the Bengals, and I guess I shall. Unfortunately. Let's share the screen.
Express yourself. 21-7.
So Bengals lost by 1. I guess let's start from the beginning, then we'll work our way through. This is the only topic for the week, so we got plenty of time to dwell on it.
You can leave it. You can leave the big rant at the end of the refs favoring the Ravens, because I'll agree at that point. There was some favoritism on that last play, or was it second to last play because the Ravens got a kneel?
I didn't after that going for 2. I didn't watch the rest. So
that was the last play I was speaking of.
Okay. I guess to start, it was good. Good game in the beginning. I got home a little late from I think I was running errands or something, and got home a little late, so picked up in the middle of the first. To me, it looked good. Scored in the first drive, I think. Then I think the Ravens punted, and I don't think the Ravens scored until like the last drive of the first half, right? And then it was 14-7. But yeah, first half Bengals did well. They stopped the run. I think Lamar didn't really have too much going on. Neither did King Henry. And Joe Burrow in the offense looked pretty good for the most part. I think they punted once, and they were pretty aggressive on fourth down. I think they converted like 2, then they didn't convert 2. So nothing to be too mad about. But come second half, everything changed. Obviously, go up 21-7. I think with like 4 minutes left. Then that Chase Brown fumble turned everything around. I mean, honestly, you give the Ravens short field, they're gonna take advantage of it. They score, and then I think the next drive I think it was either 3 and out or maybe we had like a first down, then punted again, and they scored again. Then in the blink of an eye, it's like 21-21. I'm like, bro, this is like, what is going on? It's a total breakdown. Yeah, I think the defense just honestly, Lawrence, I feel like the defense just can't hold up for a whole game. They can play well for a quarter. In this case, they play good for half, and they just break down. And it's not like they were on the field for that long anyway. Each series that the Ravens were out there. I mean, the Ravens in second half was just driving. They were doing whatever they wanted to. So it's not even like they were just stuck out on the field like the Browns or I don't know, some of these other bad teams like the Giants or something where the defense plays most of the game, even the Jets. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it can be fixed. And I guess to end the last drive of the game, Burrow was clutch. I went back and forth between Zach Taylor going for 2. On one hand, I don't like it because Lamar, you give him the ball back with 30-something seconds left. I think it was like 39. You give him the ball back regardless with 39 seconds left. Like, they were moving the ball at will. Like, all they need is a field goal. Yes, Justin Tucker missed one of the extra points, but I think when you need him the most, Justin Tucker's going to come through. So, on one hand, I'm like, why did you go for 2? But on the other hand, I think for weeks now we've been, saying, hey, Zach Taylor, stop being a puss, be aggressive. And hey, he was aggressive all night. Went for it on fourth down a couple times. converted a good chunk of them. So on the other hand, you can't be mad that your coach is doing what the fans are asking to do. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, Joe Burrow, like you said, that last play, refs showing favoritism. But at the end of the day, they should never gave up the 21-7 lead, and Chase Brown fumbling the ball. I think he has like 6 fumbles in like the last 5 games or something like that. Like, it's ridiculous. So, I don't know. You want to chime in, Lawrence?
I mean, so I actually fell asleep because as a normal human, I had to work in the morning. It was late, and the last thing I
It
remember
was.
seeing before I went to sleep was 21-7. Um, and the way the Bengals have been playing on defense and the way the offense have been playing, I felt comfortable enough to fall asleep and not have to worry and or panic about my bet. I thought, you know, I do a pick'em league. I've said it before. I was the only one to pick the Bengals in the pick'em league. Um, I had some people come out and tell me before, like, "Oh man, I wanted to take the Bengals, but I didn't take the Bengals." And I was like, "Well, they're looking really good right now." And I just kind of had this like sneaking suspicion that as I was getting sleepy in that bed, that I was gonna wake up to like some kind of dystopian ending to that game that I was not prepared for. I guess is the best way to put it. Uh, and honestly, like I had a dream too that I was gonna wake up and I wasn't gonna see the money in my betting account, and I was gonna be like, "What the hell? What is this bullshit?" But I had also taken the Bengals spread, so I knew there was gonna be something in there. But like I was having I guess a nightmare of some sorts that I wasn't gonna get anything. The Ravens were just gonna come back and murder them. So then I wake up and it's like probably about 4 a.m. You know, I'm not even tired anymore. I'm just getting ready for work. And I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
let me see if the bet hit. And then I noticed on my bank account, my betting account should have had a lot more money in it. I was like, wait a minute. I pull up the score. I'm like, 35-34. How the hell did that happen? So I go back and I start watching the highlights and the replay. So I get it to where it's like the last bit of the game. And I watch that 2 point play go back. And I'm like, okay, first foul. Joe Burrow gets his helmet slapped. It wasn't that egregious, but you would call that for Patrick Mahomes, so you should have to call that. The guy was being
True.
tackled. Hudson was being tackled before the ball was even there. That's another flag. And if you look on the opposite side, that Burrow's not even looking at, not even like going out of the way too. But the opposite side of the field, they're holding. Like you can see the guy's jersey being yanked. I'm like, there's 3 fouls that you could have called on this play, and you didn't. Just seems a little. It just feels like there's some teams in the pocket of the refs and some that aren't. Um, Honestly, the fact that the Bengals have blown it twice against the Ravens this season is honestly, I don't want to say call it pure comedy, but the same team twice, like you were up and doing well against them twice, and you blew it twice. It just seems one seems fishy, and two just something ain't right. Um, and then as I'm watching the highlights and everything, like everything, like Zach Taylor, like you're everything that you're asking Zach Taylor to do and you be for as a coach for your team. No offense, but he's doing it. And at the end of the day, like there's not much more you can get him to do for you. And maybe that defensive coordinator's got to go. I remember seeing him. It's like his sixth season as the Bengals defensive
Yeah.
coordinator. Maybe it's time to let him walk and have someone else come and reevaluate the talent and run a different scheme. Because honestly, like I'm not even mad about Zach Taylor in that game. Because like you said, I'd rather him go for two. And you can take it as like I think it was Hillman or is it Michael in our fantasy league. But last week the Buccaneers didn't go for two, and it
Mm-hmm.
screwed him in the end because the guy I had on my team, Kareem Hunt, scored the touchdown in overtime, which allowed me to beat him by 1 point.
Yeah.
If the Buccaneers go for two and they get it or they don't get it, he's not in that situation. If the Bengals get it or don't get it, like it's not that same situation. But honestly, he couldn't give the ball to the defense to finish the game out because in 30 seconds, Lamar's going to torch those guys in prevent. And every team, for some reason, wants to play prevent every single time, no matter what, in late game situations. And it's come out countless times. Even like all you have to do is get 3 points. You can't be playing prevent. You just can't. They do it anyways. So, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I
at this
agree.
at this point,
It
I
was
don't.
honestly it felt like a lose-lose situation. I don't think like I was just about to say, like I don't think it was a right or wrong response from Zach Taylor. Like he was damn if you do, damn if he doesn't. Honestly, defense are just not playing well enough me for me to feel good about going overtime if you take the field goal, or even if you do make the 2 points. I don't feel good about them with 30 seconds still driving down the field and needing a field goal to win. So
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's almost to the point where the Bengals have to win out every single week, and I think the team
yeah,
fundamentally the team can do it offensively. It's defensively that is what prevents this team from making that sort of win out scenario happen. I just think defensively there's just so much missing.
yeah, they can't put a full game together. Like I said, like it might be a quarter, it might be a half, it might be 3 quarters in some cases, but it's never a full game of hey, we played good defense. Like I never, not once have seen that this season. The only glimmer of hope I will say, Lawrence, even though I don't really agree with this man too much, but I don't know if you watched the facility on FS1 with like Acho and Shady and Chase Daniels and all of them, but Acho actually made a good point. Every one, or two out of his takes out of 10, he makes a good one, and he was like, the Bengals they beat like when they except for the Patriots they beaten the bad teams like and they beaten the bad teams pretty handily, right? Besides the Patriots, they lost to them. But on the flip side, they've basically only lost to like the best teams, right? You got the Commanders, you got 2 Ravens losses, you got an Eagles loss, and then you got a Chiefs loss. And you're losing those games by single digits, like 1, 2, 3 points. So it's hard to judge them, even though we can say the defense is terrible. Offense is very, very good. It's like very like weird to like see a team that obviously can win these games, and the margin to win an NFL is pretty small anyway. But like they haven't really, played like a decent team. Like what's a decent team, Lawrence? Like Tampa Bay or like Atlanta or
Tampa Bay,
I guess
Atlanta, Seattle.
Chargers. Chargers are a decent team. We'll play them this Sunday on Sunday Night Football. But that's the only glimmer of hope. I think he had a good point there. Like it's like how do you do against the good teams? Like not the great teams. Obviously, you can't beat all the great teams, right? But if you can beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and you can beat most of the good teams, then there's some hope there. So I guess we have to see. I don't know if you kind of agree with that point, but that's how I'm kind of looking at the rest of the season. Like, all right, we just gotta beat the teams we're supposed to beat, and we gotta beat the good teams. Maybe lose one more game, but that's about all of the leeway we have, basically.
My main question mark for the Bengals is what is it with the conference teams, the divisional teams that to play, that they can't find answers to beat them? It seems like every year they struggle against the Ravens, they struggle against the Steelers, and they always handily handle the Browns. Like, why is the in-state rival the one that you're able to trample, but you can't
Mm-hmm.
put the same amount of work in with the rest of that division? And that's kind of when I come down to, like when I was saying maybe it's time to get rid of that D coordinator because he's been there long enough. These teams you play on a consistent basis have figured him out, and it
Mm-hmm.
honestly just seems like it comes down to the fact that he's not having the answers for the Steelers and the Ravens on a consistent basis.
Yeah, honestly, I think it comes down to like you said, Lou Anamura, Anamuro. I don't know. I can't pronounce his name, but old man Lou. I think his defensive scheme is literally just built to stop the Chiefs. We've seen every Chiefs game, like it's always close. It's either 3 points or less every single time. And I think they're banking on that. And I think they've kind of built this team around, hey, we need to beat the Chiefs. We shouldn't worry about anyone else. And I think that mentality has really screwed us. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's just the way the roster's shaped, whether they want to admit it or not, I feel like it's built to go against the Chiefs. And they forget, hey, we got 6 games in the division. Plus, we have other conference rivals we need to go against every single year. We should probably be built to beat teams on our division, which we struggle against, which you said, and then go from there. You got the quarterback that can beat Mahomes, but I mean, you got to get out your division first. I feel like that's more important than worrying about the playoffs. You got to get to the playoffs first, and I think it's time for him to go. Whether we make the playoffs or not, and honestly, it's time for Zach Taylor to go. Whether people want him to go or not, I feel like he's just not a good head coach. One of the few things Stephen A. has said right is, he's been there for almost 6 years now, and every September we start slow, start 0-1, 0-2, 0-3. You can't, keep doing the same thing and expect different results. So there needs to be some type of shake up, Lawrence. I think it starts with old man Lou, but who knows? Zach Taylor might be next.
Yeah, because it comes it comes in very handy to start the season off just decently. Not even they just start the season off so bad every time. And I
Yeah.
was talking with my coworker yesterday, or sorry, Saturday, and I was talking about how the Cavaliers are 10-0, and in an 82
Yeah.
game season, starting 10-0, 10-0 is big. You're gonna wish that you start hot like that, so when you have a lull period in the middle of the year, you have given yourself that edge to be able to have those ruts throughout the season. And I think that's the problem
Yeah.
with the Bengals is you start slow and you lose to the bad teams at the beginning because you always start slow. And now we don't have any room for error throughout the whole season. And that's where all the good teams are. That's where your divisional games are. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't have the ability to try to change something throughout the season or anything. You just kind of have to roll with it. It's built like it's built, and it is what it is at that rate.
Yeah. How do you feel about, like I said, this team doesn't feel like it's built necessarily for the division opponents. It feels like the roster is shaped to beat the Chiefs. How do you feel about that? Is there any truth in that?
I just think defensively, that is the answer. Yes, I think that defensively they are not built for their division. It feels like defensively, yes, like they're in the same mindset of a few years ago when they won in the playoffs against the Chiefs and then got the Super Bowl game against the Rams.
Mm.
They knew, okay, if we want to come back to this Super Bowl, we're gonna have to go through those Chiefs. Um, and it's just kind of like for the Lamar part, the team's not built in order to withstand a running quarterback. Um, it's just not. And then secondary, it just feels like they never grow. It feels like the secondary always in the offseason apparently gets better, but you don't ever see any change. It's either untimely, stupid penalties, or oh man, he just got beat on a seam
Oh,
route, and
I think we
it just
lost
wasn't even
Lawrence a
that
little
hard to
bit there,
cover.
but
It just seems like there's
yeah,
always
the team just not built
something fundamentally wrong
for
with
the
that
division,
defense
and
in that secondary.
that's another
Um, but honestly,
point
the
of
secondary
emphasis we
seemed
should
fine
probably
early in the season, and it was the D line
keep
that couldn't
talking
hold
about
up.
maybe
Well, now the D line's gotten
the
better,
front
and
office.
teams can't run all day on the Bengals. It opened up a new window. Like, well, this is why the secondary looked so good early in the season. It's because teams were just running it all day, every day against them. and they could. And
Yeah,
that's what the Ravens are known and built for, is running the ball and running it all day. That's what the Steelers are known for, running the ball and doing it all day. And honestly, you got lucky you played the Browns without Nick Chubb, because that's what they would do if they had him out there.
yeah. No lies were told. No lies were told. Uh, let's move on from the Bengals. Let's move to Sunday morning. I know you got a lot of good stuff to say. I didn't watch this game, but this was in Germany. Giants, Panthers. Your thoughts, takeaways from this game, Lawrence? Bryce Young, back-to-back wins, first time in his career. How you feeling?
I think the biggest thing that I've noticed throughout the season so far is that we're not a good team. We're just not. We're not a good team. But at least every week we become more of a cohesive team. So at least each week it feels like it's more of a team game for us. The offense complemented the defense in order to keep us in there. Like last week against the Saints, the defense complemented the offense. The offense scored 23 points. We don't score 23 points very often. Offense was able to put up 23 points. The defense knew that if we want to get this win, we got to hold the other team to 22 points. And that's what they did. This week, we never get any stops on defense. We're not stops, sorry. We never get any turnovers on defense. It just never feels like we ever get turnovers on defense. All they could do was get turnovers. Daniel Jones, I don't know what he was looking at, but in one of his sacks on the flea flicker, there was two guys in the middle of the field, wide the hell open, and the only person in the secondary is Xavier Woods. You think Xavier Woods is going to cover two guys? No, it's simply not going to happen. But that allowed, for the first time ever, our defensive line to get there and to put pressure on them, and that's complementary football. Like I said before, like at the beginning of the season, we were not cohesive. We were just a bunch of players, and there was no rhyme or reason for who's doing what. Let's just go out there and have fun, sort of thing. Now that each week goes by, it feels like people know their roles. They have set schedules. The biggest thing is the rookie movement. I mean, we're young. We've decided to move more on the young side with vets here and there scattered around. Which, when you think about it, this game was a perfect definition of cohesion, because it was vets making big timely plays while the rookies consistently improved and got better, and then honestly put all the pieces together in order to get the win. Um, I think Chuba Hubbard getting paid right before Germany was massive, because I don't know what it is, but that run game, that run blocking, it was on a different level than it had ever been in any other week before that. And I'm pretty sure, Chuba getting paid a lot of money. Well, not a whole lot of money. He's like I think he's eighth overall, but for him to be a top three running back this season, and apparently the way he works out and trains and is around the locker room, that's just the kind of guy I want around there. And you pay him, you pay a guy like that, and you could tell that the offensive line told Chuba when he was going in there, "You just got paid, and we're going to make sure you have a career day." And he had a career day. And then our rookies. I mean, I'm not going to call Bryce Young a rookie, but
Nice.
he's got
Nice.
rookie.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't watch this game, but seen the highlights. Bryce Young looked like he played decent. My only question to you, Lawrence.
I think I'm reconnecting and unconnecting.
Yeah, keep going in and out. I guess my only question to you is: does Bryce Young continue to start? He's had two good games, or does Andy Dalton come back at some point, finish out the season? Like, how does that dynamic kind of look like?
In my opinion, you cannot take Bryce Young out. Like at this point, it's very clear that the guys who are in there want him to do good and be successful. Um, and honestly, watching him be happy is enough for me to say you got to keep him in there, because I love watching him be happy. And
Mm-hmm.
I think most Panthers fans will agree that watching Bryce Young be happy, it's just good on the soul. And he hasn't done anything to not be deserving of the starting job. It's not like we're talking about we're like a super good team and him starting or not starting is like the death of us. That's not it at all.
Mm-hmm.
We're a subpar, uh, mediocre team, and allowing him to just grow and get better because it's not like we're playing for anything this season. We're not playing for playoffs. We're not playing for first overall pick. We're simply playing to see what pieces we have in the rookies and see what vets we want to keep around. And honestly, I think by the end of the bye week or something, J.C. Horn's going to get paid. I think he's the next one up to get paid.
Nice. A lot of good stuff Sunday morning. Uh, Now to the 1 o'clock games. Honestly, I was mainly focused on for the 1 o'clock games, 49ers, Bucks, and Steelers, Commanders. So I'll start with those two, and then you can fill in the blanks, Lawrence. 49ers, Bucks. C-Mac looked good. First game back. A lot of people expected him to explode on the scene, but honestly, we got to remember, Tampa Bay still has a decent defense. So I'm not too surprised. I mean, 109 total yards, 68 on the what he had 30 only 39 rushing, but I mean he looked good hitting there. I think you haven't played all season. You're coming back in week 10. I think it's a little much to ask C-Mac to come back and just bust out a 2 touchdown game. Like I mean that's asking for too much. Let the man get in rhythm.
What did you
Um,
what did you think
but
of the
pretty play well. Jake,
what did you think of the Baker Mayfield throw?
what the field goal kicking?
Oh no, I was simply asking of the Baker
Which
Mayfield
one?
with Joey Bosa. No, sorry, Nick Bosa trying to take him down, and Baker is literally stiff arming him and still able to make the throw.
I mean, honestly, if Tampa Bay had a better record, I think Baker would probably be first place in MVP because he's without his two weapons, bro. He is balling, and even when he did have them, he was balling. Baker's, I'm sure many people have said it, but he's been balling. I feel like he's found his home in Tampa Bay. A team that actually believed in him, give him weapons. Um, he's doing the best he can, and he back to back weeks of like close games. Last week was against the Chiefs, really good defense. Now it's against the 49ers. Uh, Good defense, kind of on the ropes a little bit. You can run on the 49ers defense, which wasn't a thing. I guess even I mean a little bit last year, but 2 years ago you probably couldn't run the 49ers defense all that well. So Baker's just been balling. That throw was crazy. Nick Bosa probably should have thrown him down. I don't know what the hell happened on that, but uh, yeah, Jake Moody, or is that the guy's name? Moody,
Yeah,
Jake Moody.
yeah,
He
it's
made the
Jake
game
Moody.
closer than it needed to be because he missed 3 field goals. He lucky the fourth one to win the game went through because that one almost clanked off the uprights. Like like Debo, you shouldn't fight your teammates, bro. But bro, you made the game closer than it needed to be. You left 9 points on the board. I would be angry too, honestly. Miss one or two, okay, I got you. You come back from injury. Maybe your leg's not feeling 100%, but you miss one, you miss two, bro. You miss three, nah. I mean, I would be mad too. I'm not gonna fight you. I might say something afterwards after the game, but I'm not gonna fight you in the game though. How do you feel about the 3 field goals? I mean, that if he makes them, Lawrence, it's not even a close game. They'll be like what 32-20. It's not even a close game. Like I mean, he kind of cost his team a little scared.
Yeah, honestly, it might have been they brought him back too early or something. It just seemed like he was just purely not prepared for the moment, especially being on the road.
Mm.
I think something. along the lines of they wanted to get him back probably to fill another roster spot or something. And I just don't feel like he was fully prepared. But also, I also will say like Moody has never. It might be a hot take, but like Moody's never been like a oh yeah like that's a guarantee type of kicker.
Yeah.
He's never had that about him. So
He's just been serviceable. I guess that's just good enough for the 49ers. Like, you've been serviceable. Like, we'll keep you around. Um, I guess he's gonna stick around the following week, but I think if he misses any more, he's probably gone.
but you
He's
said you
probably gone.
watched a lot of that Steelers Commanders game, which was that was one of the games I was watching the most of, and I was just thoroughly enjoyed almost the whole time from the George
Nice segue
Pickens
there.
from the George Pickens touchdown to maybe 2 hours later the George Pickens uh, fight with St. Juice.
Yeah. This is a good game. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna ask you this: that fourth down throw, Zach Ertz, I think was the one that caught it. To me, it looked like he was on the 41-yard line. It was a bad spot. As soon as I saw the refs, both sideline refs meet at like the 42, I was like, wait, they're like a yard short. Like, dude was definitely at least at the 41. That seemed like a bad spot. And then they went back and did official review, and they didn't even move the ball. They just said no, he didn't get enough to gain. I'm like, what? Like, you didn't even. I don't know. That to me, I feel like. I mean, Washington had other chances to win, Lawrence, but I mean, I'm not gonna say it was clear as day that they get that first down, but it was pretty. It was like 90-10. He got that first down. Like,
Um,
usually you think like the refs would give it to you, but probably because it's the Commanders, they're like, nah, screw you guys.
so for me, it was like one of two things, right? So going to this game, I was telling my buddies it was either you lose to the Steelers or you lose to the Eagles, but you're not
Mm-hmm.
beating both. That was my opinion of it, and I felt kind of confident in my
Okay.
assumptions of that. And I think it's good that they lost to the Steelers because I think it's just going to help them and benefit them more when they play the Eagles. Because let's face it, the Commanders for the recent weeks have played the Giants, the Panthers, and the Bears. And if you look at
Mm-hmm.
the Bears are bad. Like they are laughing stock bad, which makes you look at that Bears game just a little differently in the eyes of the Commanders. So I knew that this game was probably going to be one that they lost. And honestly, they didn't really play that well the whole game. You look at the stats and everything, like nothing they did was outstanding or great. But getting to the play you're talking about, I mean, I was someone who was rooting for the Steelers because I bet on the Steelers. Um, and even I'm still on the fence about that play. Uh,
Yeah.
I wish they had spotted it at the 41 from the beginning, and then re-looked at it. But I think because they spotted it at the 42, um, and then they immediately were like, okay, we'll replay it. And they're like, oh yeah, well he wasn't at the 42, but we already said it wasn't a first down, so we're gonna keep it that way. I'm kind of in your boat.
Yeah.
I was a little bit less favorited like you. I was saying more like 70-30 that it was a first down. Then my bias is saying it's more like a 50-50 that's a first down. But unbiasedly, I thought about a 70-30. And I can see where they're coming from because the moment he catches that ball, his knee is literally already on the ground, and both the guys are already touching him. So he's technically automatically down at that exact spot.
Yeah.
And where the ball is like deep in his belly. And that would have been on the front side of the 41. So I don't know where the technical marker line was at the 41, which is kind of why I wish they would have marked it at the 41 from the beginning and then reviewed it that way and then changed it up that way. But because they marked it at the 42, pretty much is the main reason why they were unfortunate in that scenario.
Yeah, it was just a bad spot. I haven't seen a lot. I mean, the refs have been bad this year, but one thing that they've been really bad about, I feel like, is spotting the ball this year, like just more than usual, like just weird spots. And I don't mean, like I
Well,
said,
that
Commanders
was the
Commanders had chances to win the whole game, but they were a full yard, like they were a full yard back. Like he wasn't even close to the 42, and they're like, nah, he's at the 42. I'm like, no, he wasn't. Like it
but
should at
then
least be in the middle.
yeah, I know that's the worst part about that game. 'Cause when you're watching that game, the refs just weren't involved at all. Like they really weren't.
Yeah,
They let George Pickens fight a man in the middle of the game. No flags were even thrown. I mean, the refs were literally letting them play. And it's just unfortunate that at the end, in that moment, is when they decided to have their end all be all verdict, and that was their stamp on the game. I mean, honestly, if they had just tried a little better on the review, or they had explained it better, like I don't need a paragraph, but like come out and say
yeah,
like, oh, um, we're spotting the ball at the 42 and 3/4, and we're gonna measure it from here. I'm like, okay, that's fair. Like that's where they came. They literally just try to act like it never happened. And we'll go
yeah.
review it. The guy's watching a YouTube video. Do you think it's been enough time by now? It's probably been enough time by now. Okay, I'm gonna go back out there. All right, the ruling on the field stands. Didn't say anything else. Ruling on the field stands.
Yeah, but it was a good game regardless. Commanders needed to be humbled a little bit. You had the Steelers winning. I had the Commanders pulling this one out, but like you said, they're gonna be tested again on Thursday against the Eagles. So we'll talk about that more on Wednesday. Uh, what was the other game I watched? I think it was just those two. Do you want to fill in the blanks, Lawrence? I know Broncos Chiefs came down to a block field goal. Bills
I don't.
Colts.
I don't know how the Chiefs keep getting away with it. I mean, I watched the fake. I watched the field goal, and it just felt like so many Broncos players just didn't even get into a blocking position by the time the ball was getting kicked.
Yeah,
I mean, and no offense to the Broncos, but they had so many moments in that game to like put more points up on the board, and they just never did. They just fell back and they relied on that defense, which is why I said the 8.5 was crazy, crazy numbers from Vegas. I smelt that 8.5 a mile away from that thing was gonna get slapped all day by me. I was enjoying that 8.5. So at the end of the day, I was gonna win whether or not they lost or won. I was getting that 8.5.
yeah.
I think for those games, the only other game I was watching, trying to watch is actually the better word, was the Vikings Jaguars game because I was just so confused what was happening in that
Mac
game.
Jones. Mac
And
Jones stepped in for Trevor Lawrence.
I'm when I tell you that Jaguars are horrible, the
Yep.
Jaguars are horrible. And you know what? I'm not even blaming most of this on Trevor Lawrence because I was being a hater, and I think the YouTube algorithm got to me, and I started watching this guy's take. Carson Palmer's brother, can't remember his first
Uh,
name.
I think it's Jordan. Jordan Palmer.
Jordan Palmer. He's been breaking down he broke down Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence has had the most drop balls than like any other quarterback in the league this season. And then
Wow.
if you look at it, the guy who's dropping most of the balls, who's the guy that we used to call a bum all the time on the Bales?
Gabe Davis.
That man be dropping balls all the time for Trevor Lawrence. And I'm sorry, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt to Brian Thomas because he's had a good season, but he had some drops. He's a rookie; he gets to have those drops. Um, Gabe Davis had like 6 plays, had 6 drops. Two or three of them were touchdowns. They were just plain as day drops. So I'm gonna reel in the hate on Trevor Lawrence because, well, at least Trevor Lawrence could put up more than 7 points that you got on the first drive in the game. I didn't think Mac Jones looked good. I just didn't think he looked bad either. But I swear to you, every single time I put that game on, It was Vikings had the ball, and they were either punting it or throwing an interception.
Damn.
I literally saw nothing else. And I didn't want to watch it too often because I was just couldn't do it. It was just such a It was a very snooze fest, boring game, and I had to leave it at that. But I don't think there was any other game that I was enthralled because you've already broken down the Tampa Bay game. The only thing that I thought in that Tampa Bay game that was incredibly amazing was that Baker Mayfield stiff arm to keep Nick Bosa from getting him to the ground, and how he was able to stiff arm him like that and still get a throw off. Insane. Off balance, one arm throw because the other arm is you can't even stabilize your body or anything with the other arm. You're just completely just trying to hold a man off. One of the
Yeah.
coolest things I've seen in a while. Um, Honestly, I don't think I watched almost any other game at that point. I was too high on the Carolina Panther win.
Yeah, I don't blame you. That, like I said, Vikings, Jags was snooze fest. Chargers, Titans, snooze fest. Although
That
Will
was a
Levis did,
that was a 4 o'clock game.
uh, yeah, the 4 o'clock
Yeah,
games I didn't watch. I just went and did other things. But
yeah.
Jets suck.
You never missed a thing in the 4 o'clock game. I only watched the Eagles game because it was the only one that was close, and that was the first half. I decided that it would have been in my best interest to go find other things to do besides watch football, and I'm glad I did.
Them boys are they're spiraling. They probably won't win another game. I think Dak might be out for the rest of the season. So you know,
He deserves it. He doesn't deserve to be in that shit show.
yeah. Micah Parsons, I think after the game, was kind of shit talking Mike McCarthy, talking about how Mike can. I'm paraphrasing the quote, but he was like, Mike can go and leave anytime he wants to, but vets like Zach Martin, who on the way out, might be their last season or whatever. They put in more work than he ever did or something like that. I
Hmm.
mean, why are you getting mad at Mike? I mean, obviously, you were winning with him last year and the years before, but just because Jerry wants to run back the same roster and the roster is bad, you want to get mad at Mike McCarthy? This is all on Jerry Jones. He just overspent for Jonathan Mingo. Jonathan Mingo didn't even play, bro. He didn't even suit up. They put out this, not even a statistic, but you know, the Jets trade for Devontae. Devontae gets a touchdown. Bills trade for Cooper. He gets a touchdown first game. Chiefs trade for Hopkins. He gets a touchdown the first game. Mingo doesn't even suit up for the Cowboys after the trade. Like what? and you overpaid for Mingo? Like Jerry Jones is an idiot. He's like Micah. If you want to be mad at somebody, be mad at Jerry Jones. The dude's too old and too stupid, quite frank, when it comes to football, to run a team, bro. Don't be mad at your coach. If I'm Mike McCarthy, I know I'm getting fired. I wouldn't care anyway. How do you feel, Lawrence?
I feel the same way. I feel like Jerry Jones is kind of outlived. Um, I mean, he's never been a great GM. I mean, most
Him
of
or
his
his son, Stephen
yeah.
Jones is not much better.
So I'm in the totally the same boat. I still think Mike McCarthy's not a great coach, but still, at the end of the day, like you just said, it was dead ass. Mike McCarthy probably wanted new players. Like, no offense, but like, you can't run it completely back with the same team. Like, it's just
Yeah.
never gonna work. I don't care what team you had, you cannot return every bit of the roster and then bring in subpar talent. I mean, okay, they were talking about how they lost out on Derrick Henry. So you lost out on Derrick Henry. So your biggest to fix that, you say, okay, let's get Elliott again. Well, you got rid of him the first time for a reason. Like you
Yep.
did. Like you got rid of him for the first time for a reason because he's kind of old and washed. And then all we watched in that game was the fact that he was old and washed. I mean, Rico Dowell seemed way more effective than he did. And Rico Dowell, I'm pretty confident, isn't he just a 7th round pick or undrafted free agent? Like, you're telling me that
He
Rico
ain't much.
Dowell, you're telling me Rico
He ain't
Dowell is
much.
better than Zeke? No one was the point of getting Zeke. You didn't at that point. You didn't even need to get a running back. You could have just ran it with Dowell, or you could have. I mean, you know how many free agent running backs are out there? Like you probably could have got one with fresher legs, and maybe you could have
Yep.
spent on another wide receiver so CD Lamb doesn't have to get freaking murked and murdered every single play and asked to catch the ball 13 times a game. And then you want to say that, oh, the sun wasn't blinding him in the end zone. Motherfucker, you can look at the replay and just see him going, the little eye poke, like the two eye poke, like he's literally just showed you, like his eye can't see. And maybe you shouldn't build a stadium that the sun is setting in the west so that when you play your games, the sun's just beaming straight into your stadium. Or maybe put some freaking blinds up. I don't even know. Just put some tarp up there. I don't know. You're telling me you have all that money and you can't figure out a system to close and unclose that light that shines in? Because I mean, honestly, if the other team is in that position, yeah, keep it open. But if my team's in that position, let's push the button and make the blinds go down so they can see. You would think they would have thought of that by now.
Nope. That's the Cowboys in a nutshell. They don't think. That's their problem. That's
I
not.
hope, and the last game, I hope you watched the Sunday night game because I fell asleep
Yeah.
and I woke up to cashing my bet because I'm cashing it hard because I went to sleep thinking the Lions were done in the water. I bet on the Lions right at halftime, and then I was awake. I watched them get the interception. Then I watched Jared Goff throw the interception in the end zone, and I
Yep.
said, "I'm done," and I went to sleep. And I thought the $15 I threw on the Lions at plus, I think it was 350, was just dead in the water. And I was like, I had the Lions money line 4 and all these parlays. And I was like, oh, it's all dead. I'm going to sleep.
Yeah, I watched it. It was maybe a snooze fest first half. Second half, it got interesting. Jared Goff 5 interceptions. Did not see that coming. He definitely killed his MVP hopes. You can't win MVP throw 5 picks in a game. Like that's just not happening. Now your stats are kind of skewed in a negative fashion, so you're not going to win MVP probably. So hey, it's a nice little run. We kind of jinxed it when we both picked them to be the midseason MVP, but it is what it is. At least you got the dub. Montgomery didn't necessarily had a good game. Gibbs had a better game. On the flip side, Mixon didn't have a good game. CJ Stroud had a meh game. Honestly, I was just surprised with Detroit's pass rush. I mean, I don't even think Zadarius Smith played, and they were still getting after the Texans. Like,
Yeah,
is that a testament to
they were getting
just
at
their
him
O
through the
line?
interior.
Is that just a testament to the O line just being terrible because half the O line's hurt? And I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, it's been 3 straight weeks where CJ Stroud's been running for his life. And not to say that the offensive line was good to begin with, it was decent. But now with the injuries piling up, yeah, I think Texans is still good enough to win the division because the Colts are kind of rolling in the wrong direction, and Jags suck. And who's the other team in the division? Colts, Jags, Texans.
The Titans are bad.
Titans suck, yeah. So they have a pretty good, very, very good chance to win the division. But at this point, I think the sophomore slump is kind of hitting CJ Stroud, and it doesn't help that the line is bad, and you don't have Nico Collins, you don't have Diggs. You pretty much just have a Tank Dell and a Joe Mixon who is kind of banged up too. So yeah, it's not looking good for the Texans, but at least you can make the playoffs and probably get bounced first round. Probably. That's what I'm seeing. And Detroit, it sucks, but they're really good teams. Even if they play like poop, they still find a way to win. AKA the Chiefs, and now we see AKA the Lions. Like I think the big takeaway from this game, Lawrence, is the Lions are legit because usually, like if you play bad, you usually lose. But if you're a really good team and you play bad, there's a good chance you still can win. And they just, I mean, this is point blank that case. Point blank earlier in the day with the Chiefs, they just played bad and still won. Like I can't explain it, but it's just what happens with the good teams. Whether it's because of the zebras, some people say the zebras. I might be one of those people. I don't know about you, but it might be that, or it might be they can just put out their ass when it's necessary. I don't know. How do you feel?
I just feel like the for the Lions at least, I feel like it's more so that team has been bad for so long, and now it's a group of players who have seen that it can be turned around
Yeah,
and are enjoying. They play a little bit more hustle than some of these other teams who have continuously been good, and I
yeah,
think that's like an edge that they have because before they were good, they were just pure bad. Like I think the only other team that's even comparable to them is like the Texans. I mean, they were bad, dead in the water bad for so long. Well, not for so long, but for a while there. And then it seems like all the players who were there through that, I mean, they'll fight hard, and that's what keeps them in games sometimes. But for the Lions, at least, I feel like it's that edge just a little bit different because no matter what guy they bring in there, that guy is just ready to break his kneecaps, ready to bite some kneecaps. So I think it has to come down to the coaching as well. I mean, as much as we want to give him
yeah,
crap for his going for two or going for it on fourth, he really gets his guys to play. And at the end of the day, that's all you're asking as a coach, to get your guys to play.
yeah. Dan Campbell. We criticized him before, like you said, but the man gets it done. And at the end of the day, I feel like that's all you need, right? So shout out to the Lions. Made a good game at the end. Um, yeah, only Monday Night Football left. Um, think we are at the end of the program. Lawrence, anything you want to tackle before we head on out?
Hmm, I got nothing left. I'm gonna enjoy this game. Dolphins are up 7-0 at the moment.
Nice, nice. I got League Pass on. I'm gonna watch some basketball, and then I'll tune in to Monday Night Football as well. Don't forget, guys. I think in season tournament, the play in game or the cup games, or I think it's the NBA Cup now. The NBA Cup in season tournament games start
Oh,
tomorrow,
it's the
Tuesday.
NBA Emirates Cup.
Yep.
You
Their
forgot the
games.
Emirates.
The good sponsor Emirates, not sponsoring us, but they're sponsoring the NBA. Game start. I think they're Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? They're gonna be on TNT, I think, for the national televised ones. Um,
Believe.
so maybe we'll preview the cup games, some of the cup games, and preview who we want to win or whatever. Monday or next episode, but something to look forward to basketball wise. A lot of injuries out there. I think Chet just got hurt. Lawrence today, I think he's out 8 to 10 weeks. I think like fractured hip. Zion, I think messed up his hamstring. Um, Anthony Davis has been in and out the lineup. Malik Monk. Um, a lot of people getting hurt. It's so weird. Like so many injuries to begin. This will be the last thing, Lawrence. But why is there so many injuries this beginning of the basketball season? Like this is crazy. I've never seen so many people get hurt. I don't know if you've been keeping up.
Um, I don't know. I guess I haven't really noticed it. The only thing I've been dwelling over is the fact that I kind of went Kuzma really early in the draft, and I haven't really seen the return on investment for Kuzma in the slightest. I mean, I have Brandon Miller. Is it Brandon? I think it's Brandon Miller. Hornets player. I mean, he got hurt in game one,
Yeah,
first 5 minutes, and he's only recently came back. Um, I think I have someone else injured too. Can't remember. But yeah, like I noticed that like Keontae George is hurt.
yeah,
I don't know if it's purely because they didn't practice enough during the off season. I mean, Kevin Durant's injured as well. Maybe it's just one of those seasons, and we're gonna see a season of. It's gonna be like the Memphis Grizzlies season, you know. What do you got on this roster deep into it?
yeah. Just a lot of just weird injuries really early on. I mean I can't explain it. Tyrese Maxey, he's out for another week or so. Like I said, KD's out. for 2 weeks. It looks like Malik Monk, Sochan hurt his thumb. That was a weird injury. So now I think the rookie Stephen Castle's going to be playing a lot more. Scotty Barnes, of course, Bruce Brown. Just a lot of. I'm not gonna go through the whole list, but just a lot of weird early week 2, week 3 injuries. I've never seen this before.
It's just people
Something to
not
keep
being
your.
prepared for the season. My pure instinct reaction from it. It's
Yeah,
just you can tell who is ready for it in the off season and who's not, based on the type of injuries. I think the Chet injury does not fall in the same category, but
yeah,
some of them, it feels like they just purely weren't physically prepared for the season.
yeah. I think I'm gonna go with that one too. Other than that, guys, that's all we got. We'll see you next episode, MTL Sports, episode 128. Thank you for watching on YouTube. Thank you for listening on Spotify, all that good stuff. We'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.